Controversy over a new Electoral Act ahead of the 2027 elections continues to dominate the headlines, as notable activists under the auspices of the Movement for Credible Elections have condemned, in strong terms, the decision of the Senate to remove mandatory electronic transmission of election results as proposed by the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026. This occurred on the day when Senate President Godswill Akpabio stated that the National Assembly would not be intimidated over the Electoral Act. The Senate President vowed that the Red Chamber will not be cowed or intimidated into passing what he described as a faulty law, adding that lawmaking is a grave constitutional responsibility that goes far beyond public sentiment, television debates, or pressure from interest groups. Joining us on this show to discuss issues around the Electoral Act and the Senate stance is Ezenwa Nwagwu, Executive Director, PRN Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PAACA. Good morning, Ezenwa Nwagwu, and good to see you. Good morning.
Dr. Abati, it's good to see you too and your colleagues there.
Okay, I've been looking for you in the last 2 weeks, so it's good to see you. But I don't know where you have been, but Happy New Year. Quickly, first,
thank you, same to you.
Your position on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill process and this argument over Section 60 sub 3. And then the body Yaga Africa, which you used also to serve as a member of the Board of Trustees, had released a report talking about voter turnout, more enthusiasm in the northern part, low enthusiasm in the southern part. If you can also take that along with both, because in a sense, both issues are connected.
Yes, absolutely. My quick sense is that the current agitation and, that we have seen around the Electoral Act Amendment is positive. Positive in the sense that we have continued to ask for more and more citizen oversight over, governance, over the activities of those who govern us. So the more you have people, you have, more and more citizens engaging the issue of lawmaking, the more it is truly that we are expanding the democratic space. Having said that, it is also important to say that the electronic transmission of results is important, but it is not far-reaching. The ask should include electronic transmission and collation. Why do I say so? If the current extant law is what it is, if you mandatorily, compulsorily upload into what we have now, which is the IREV, it means you are still uploading still photos, handwritten still photos, which I'm not sure has computational abilities, because it cannot be converted by any computer when handwritten into PDF. So the point, therefore, for me is that the weak link, as we have always said, is actually collation. And collation now has to be tied to, first and foremost, the activities in the polling unit. If results are compromised, if there is community collusion, and those results from the polling unit are manipulated with the agreement of party agents, electoral officials, and security agents within that polling unit, when you upload that result, it does not help in the electoral transparency, integrity sentinel that we are trying to push. So I am advocating, and I think a few of our colleagues have also understood that fact, that it is important not to leave it at simply e-transmission. And we should be talking also about e-transmission and collation. And then for me also, it's important to nuance internet penetration. We cannot discountenance that conversation. Your election cannot be better than your infrastructure. we have to be clear where we can do that in real time. And the way to do that is a harmonization, a kind of concurrence between the service providers, the National Communication Commission, and the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, clearly, transparently putting out where we have internet penetration and where we can, so that when we talk about real-timeness, we don't push ourselves into a situation where we solve a problem and create a bigger one.
All right.
And then for the report that Yaga had.
Go ahead for the report here. Please tell us briefly.
For the report that, yes, for the report that Yaga released, what is important is to continue to push for more interest and facility and situations, enabling environment that increases and improve the trust threshold in elections, in public institutions, in all the stakeholder folks within the election pyramid. That is INEC, security agencies, political parties, and even the citizens. We must be able to work in a way that we continue to improve the trust threshold and increase it in a way that captures everybody coming into the fold to make our election more better and credible. And the bigger responsibility, in my view, is that as we talk, electoral reform, we should also be talking political reforms, because the base of our leadership recruitment process is the political parties. And in conversations around reform, you find out that they are absent. What you see is political figures, not the political parties actively engaging. You have opposition figures, you have political figures, engaging the conversation based on the particular interest that they have at any particular time, but not actively seeing political parties in their structure coming out to say, this is our position on this, and they are ready to put boots on the ground alongside civil society as well.
Right. Excellent points. Thank you very much. Now, let me ask, tomorrow, the Senate President has asked that there be an emergency plenary where they would discuss this matter of the Electoral Act amendment, especially based on views expressed by prominent Nigerians, by everyday Nigerians in itself, and controversies around, the bill. What are your expectations and outcomes from that plenary tomorrow?
Well, the challenge for me is that the electronic voting machine in the National Assembly is not functional. And so it creates confusion, because the first thing is that we should be able to hold our senators or representatives accountable for the positions that they take in the National Assembly. And we can't do that effectively through voice vote, because you can deny you said yes and you said what, but now there is no data from which we can say my representative voted in this direction. So we need to put that as part of the ask, that going forward we should be able to have these voting machines in the National Assembly effectively working. We also have to understand the process within I heard some senators say, what we agreed at the committee, the ad hoc committee report that was laid was not what was carried. But I do know, and I'm stand to be corrected, that the ad hoc committee report does not mean that the Senate has passed it. What will happen is that clause by clause engagement, and a senator proposing for a seconder, and then you say nay or ah, and then at the end of the day we had loud voices of more than the, and then nobody came on order to say. So it's a challenge. And then we must also discuss the means with which our representatives have versed our feelings. They are what do you call it? The offices, their constituency offices are not functional. Many times you see very big signboards of constituency office. When you get there is a table and a chair and there is nobody, and that is where you even have that. Now you also have used insecurity as a means of also short-circuiting the ability of citizens to access public hearings in a way that will make sense. And even online, facilities, websites, and the rest of them, for many of them, you check them, they are permanently under construction. So the harvesting of citizens' voices into lawmaking, in pushing it into the treadmill of lawmaking, in my view, is just not what it should be. So more importantly, the voice of the people should come stronger into lawmaking than, this idea that even your friend that who probably before he became a senator, a House of Rep member, or anything in government, who has no expertise in a particular area, once he gets into government, he becomes omniscient. He becomes the one who knows everything and teaches you, even Dr. Abati and Hussein, he tells you about media, about what you should say and what you should not say. The fact for me is that in short-circuiting citizen input into lawmaking, we make it that it is the voice of the people who lead us, that overshadows lawmaking rather than the input from the people themselves.
Okay. As regards the conversation about internet infrastructure, I just want to give you some empirical data, and I'll read to you. 4G subscription. There's 2G, 3G, 4G. 4G subscription, there are about 95 million users of 4G subscription. 4G can do a transfer of between 10 to about 14 megabytes per second, or even more in the space of seconds. And this results we are talking about is less than 1 MB, depending on how you take the picture. Then you also have 3G and 2G, which virtually almost everybody have access to in this country. So for those that make arguments, there's no telecom infrastructure and all of that, that argument might not be based on facts. But one thing you said that excited me, that we should go ahead and push for use in collation. Are you saying we should get voting machines like the likes of the Dominion voting machine, that people get into a booth, press their preferred party, does the collation, does the actual outcome result, and puts on the portal? Just explain things to me. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that could be it. I'm not an expert in technology, but I'm very cautious also in that conversation has to be with civic tech groups who understand the variables, the complete variables. In terms of the statistics that you're talking about, we have to be nuanced. If you have 95 million people on 4G, where are they located? Are they located in Kaura Namoda? Are they located in Ifez, in Bise? Are they located in Okitipupa? You understand? Because most of these subscribers, in my view, might be urban-based. Because the truth of the matter is that we have many backwater communities. And we should be very clear in not scratching because we feel like scratching, and to the point where we scratch out blood. So I am saying, bring it together. Don't have a conversation with the relevant institutions. I have seen us push reforms. Most of the reforms that we are trying to do today have been done in the past, and we are coming back to them again. Many times we push reforms that cause more challenges than they are solving. So there has to be a wider thinking that around internet penetration, so that we don't just talk from our Wuse2 offices and our Victoria Island and Ikoyi, standpoint. Nigeria is not Abuja, it is not Port Harcourt. It is wide in the sense that there are so many, in just Tarabe alone, from Jalingo, there are places where you spend 5 hours. And I was in my home in Mbise during the Christmas. For certain periods of 2 days, I could not be accessed. And many people who traveled can also bear that out. So we have that challenge, and we cannot sidestep it in a way that gives the impression that it does not exist. INEC, NCC, Ministry of Digital Economy can come out clear and say we have 2G in these places, and in some other places we don't even have at all. There are people who say, oh, POS is everywhere and all of that you do internet. Election comes with its own dynamics. Election and census comes with its dynamics. Inside it is embedded ethnicity, religion, certain other, primordial sentiments come into these pushes. So we must balance those out so that we don't create more crisis. So I am for e-transmission, I am for e-collation, I am for real-timeness, but I think that it should be harmonized in a way that doesn't create future crisis.
On that note, Ezenwa Nwagwu, we would like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you.